Hey guys, it's Jackson here, and today I thought it might be a good idea to try something a little bit different with the channel. I've been doing tutorials on this channel for a while now, like the Unreal tutorials, and they've been pretty good and they've been pretty fun, and I'm really happy with how the channel's going, but I'm feeling that it's time to take a little bit of a different direction. What I want this channel to be about is equipping, I guess, young and old developers, but new developers, with the tools that they need to create good games that are special to them, special to other people, that are fun, that are meaningful. And I think most importantly is I created this channel to give you as a developer the confidence to do that. With my tutorials, I've tried to steer clear of things like, technical information and, just like, oh, you want to build this is how you use this thing and this thing. And I've tried to steer clear from technical programming and focused more on sort of the big picture of how things like fit together and how to organize your projects and, things like that. And the reason that I do that is because I think that game development it's obviously a logical and intellect oriented discipline, but I think good game development is also very emotional. You need good judgment, you need good organizational skills, creativity. It's a very personal thing, and I feel like through the tutorials that I've done so far, I've sort of touched on the personal side of it, but not too much. So what I thought might be cool to do today, and to try and do a little bit more of in the future, is to try and integrate into the tutorials just some more videos covering like sort of the personal side, and the psychological side, I guess, and like share some of the lessons that I've learned when it comes to creating games, some of the things that I've learned about myself, my habits, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, and just pass on some of that stuff to, I guess, you guys who might want to get a bit more into game development or just want to improve. Like you're just interested and you just want to learn some more stuff from someone who's just got different life experience. So I've got a few questions here that I've just written down, so I'm just going to go through them and I'm just going to answer them and just see what happens, just so that I can sort of reveal a little bit more of who I am, what I'm about, what my goals are when I make games, and what this channel is going to kind of steer towards in the future. So first one is how I got started with game development. How did I get started with game development? Well, it was sort of an accident. I'll try to keep this short, by the way. I'm just going to gloss over all of this, and maybe I can go into future videos in the future. Oh god. Let me just grab a sip of water before I crack into this, actually. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit nervous doing this on the camera, because as you would have known if you followed my videos, I don't show my face on the tutorials. So this is a bit weird because I'm kind of conscious of the way that I look right now, rather than just talking and focusing on the computer. So how I got into game development? Well, I haven't always been a developer, I haven't always been a programmer. I started my career as a scientist when I graduated from high school. In high school I've always been interested in science, things like chemistry and physics and maths in particular, which really helps a lot with game making. But I graduated from high school, went to uni for a couple of years, studied chemistry and chemical engineering. I started as chemical engineering, didn't like that, jumped to chemistry, took a year off and did an internship in sort of biochemistry, and then after that went back to uni for about half a year and decided that I didn't want to go down that path anymore, so I ended up dropping out of uni in my final year of my degree, and I moved back home with my mum, which is where I am now, and I've just been doing game development ever since then. The way that I got started in game development, I took a few months break after I'd quit uni just to sort of try a few different things, but nothing sort of really stuck, like I did a few different jobs, which I won't go into, but basically one day I was just on my computer. I discovered Unreal Engine and Unity, and I kind of played around a little bit of them both, and in like an hour I think I just decided that Unreal was sort of intuitive and felt sort of cool, so I jumped into that and just started playing around, and had no intention for it to, grow into what it has today. I sort of just had fun with it, and I made a game in that day. It was just an absolute piece of shit, but like I gave it to my little brothers and things like that so that they could play it, and it was just so fun. And then the next day I did another one, and then the next day I did another one, and I did another one, and one day sort of turned into two, which turned into a week, which turned into months, and then years. And I've been doing game development now for 3 years, so that's how that happened. It was completely by accident and sort of caught me by surprise. The next question was how long I've been developing and how many games I've made, so that was sort of answered. I've been doing it for almost 3 years now. It's been about 2.5, I think. Probably about 2.5 years, yeah. And the numbers of games that I've made, I think I've made I probably made like 5 in my first year. The first like 3 or 4 were very, very simple. And I've sort of had, I think I've had about 3 big projects that I've worked on over maybe 3 months or so each. And everything has been solo project. I've never worked in a team with game development before. It's all just been very personal, and I sort of really enjoy the fact that I can make the whole world however I want. Do the music. I don't do the art because I'm not that interested in 3D modeling, so I just download assets and things. But to do all the code myself, all the music myself, the stories, the characters, everything like that, I find it really cool to have complete control over it. But I do enjoy working in teams as well. I've worked in teams in the past in different disciplines, like when I was in science and things, so I'll probably work in teams in the future. But so the next question, games that are my biggest influence and what are my favorite games. My favorite game is Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm a huge Zelda fanboy. The very first game that I ever played was Zelda Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64. And that really shaped my taste in games, but also like shaped my entire childhood, I think. That was a magical experience for me. So Ocarina of Time's a favorite. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a favorite. The systems in that game I think are fantastic. Like the fact that all the wood burns, fire creates updrafts, electricity shocks things, drops their weapons, electricity travels through water. Just the way that you can like solve the shrines and the puzzles and things in like the most ridiculous ways that you can think of, and then like you come up with this idea, you try it in the game, and then it actually works, and you're like, holy fucking shit, like the developers thought of that. And like these systems are interacting, and you've got this really immersive experience that feels like a real world, where like real world logic applies, and it doesn't really feel like game logic, like it feels real. And just the fact that you can go across the whole world and not have a single loading screen, I've always thought that was pretty cool. You just see something in the distance, and then you're just like, I'm gonna go there, or I'm gonna go there, or I'm gonna go there. And there's no narrative or gates like forcing you to go in a particular way through the game. It's just a sandbox for you to do whatever the fuck you want. So I find that really fascinating. Other favorite games, Undertale. I really loved Undertale. I thought that was just so clever. Nier Automata was a fucking really cool game. Just really cool gameplay, fantastic music. I think I love the game for the music. I think is the biggest selling point for me. Bit of a Pokemon fan. I like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games. I think the storytelling in those is fantastic. And that's all that comes to mind right now, so I'm just going to continue. Favorite things that I do outside of game development. So I had a previous career as a scientist where I sort of, did a few science projects here and there. I am a extreme sports athlete. I ride a scooty down at the skate park. I've been doing that since I was about 12 years old, so that's a huge part of my life. That's going on like 13 years now. I compete and do things like that at the skate park. So that's huge for me. And I think that comes through and shows itself in the types of games that I make as well. the whole skate park thing is like a huge adrenaline rush, obviously, because you're doing dangerous shit and you're kind of like an inch away from disaster all the time, and if you don't concentrate, then you can, come off, crash, or if, you sort of get a bit full of yourself and you get a bit ahead of yourself, the skate park always sort of puts you back in your place, and I feel like that comes through when I make my games. I tend to make, like really adrenaline pumping sort of games where you get yourself in scary situations and it's really tense and hype, and you make your way out of it. But not all my games are like that, so I don't know. It's just one element to the games that I make. But yeah, I play music. I've played guitar most of my life. I've got a piano just next to me right now, which I've been playing for about a year. I don't know. That's sort of it. I like to meditate and I like to read. Those are pretty much my hobbies. My favourite parts of game development, I don't even think I'm going to answer that. I don't know. I like making cool shit, and I like watching AI, actually. Like I really enjoy designing different creatures with different behaviors and different like goals and objectives, and like needs and desires, and you just set these things like loose in the world, and I just find it's really cool to be playing in the world with them and to have them act as if they're like real, and they're like responding to you and you're responding to them. And sometimes when I design a really cool AI and just sort of release it into the game, I'm in there and I'm playing with it, and it even surprises me with the things that it does, because I've like, coded it with a bunch of different random parameters for it to sort of, improvise a little bit and to stack different effects in, new unexpected ways. And I just find that really cool when they surprise me with what they do. The video just cut and I'm not sure why, but I'm starting again. Or continuing on rather. But I was saying that the other thing that I really like about game development is procedural level generation and random level generation. Again, it's similar to the AI because I just like programming things that tend to surprise me when I play it. I play through my own games and it surprises me with the shit that it comes up with, because I haven't manually built each level, one by one. I've sort of built a system which has then generated a level, and then I play through the level not knowing what to expect. I think that's the coolest part of game development for me. And also like just creating beautiful environments and beautiful experiences. In particular, the music. I really enjoy games with really good musical soundtracks. That's why I love Breath of the Wild so much, because the music in that is like very dynamic. It changes depending on whether it's day or night. It fades in and out as you approach different towns. And I really like Nier Automata because the music in that is just fucking phenomenal. There are lots of games with good soundtracks though, like these aren't the only ones, but Undertale also had really good music. But I enjoy writing the music and making the music and having the music really complement the environment and the way that it looks and feels. I think the music is a very important part and it's really fun to do. Life goals and game development. I don't know, I don't really have any. Like I just want to make good games that are fun and are meaningful and people enjoy and just have a good time with. I'm working on multiplayer games at the moment. I've just started to learn multiplayer, and I'm working on one in particular which has taken me probably it's about 6 weeks now so far. I've just sort of been chipping away at it, and that's a goal for me to finish that and to have that manifest how I've been thinking about it in my head. I've sort of been like planning this game for months, so just like keeping tracks of things like in my phone and like in different journals and drawings and things. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I finally feel like I've got the skills to actually do it, so that's sort of a goal to do. And it'd just be nice to, I guess, make a little bit of money from games as well, like selling games, maybe selling like courses and tutorials and things like that. That'd be a fulfilling thing to do, like just to know that I've created content that's good enough for people to want to pay for, and then to be able to sustain myself and everything that I do from this creative thing that I'm doing and I really fucking enjoy. That's sort of a life goal, I guess. That'd be perfect. But more important than that is just making fantastic games and good tutorials. I really want to be able to create games that like almost transform people, like they play it and they come away a different person thinking like, holy shit, like that was that was something else, you know, in a good way, like not disturbed by it, but like transformed as in like maybe it taught them something about themselves that they weren't aware of, or maybe created some memories between them and some other people and got them closer to other people. I want to have the power to be able to do that with each game that I make. So that's my goals with game development. That was a good answer. I wasn't even going to answer that question, but I'm glad that I wrote that down because I haven't really thought that through to the extent that I did just then. What I'm working on at the moment, I'm doing a multiplayer game. It's very Zelda inspired and a little bit Minecraft inspired. Minecraft is another one of my favorite games, even though I only played that like this year, only a few months ago actually, but I really enjoy it. I guess because it's random and surprising, and it's also multiplayer. So I'm working on a multiplayer game. It's a little bit like Minecraft, a little bit like Zelda, a little bit like a bunch of shit, but I'm trying to integrate into it the whole systemic game design, the thing that I love about Breath of the Wild, the fact that you can have an idea that'll make logical sense and you'll think about it and try it in the game and it'll actually work, or like you'll be doing shit in the game and then things will interact in a way that you didn't expect. Like, I don't know, like electricity will travel up this thing and zap something, which will cause rain to fall from the sky, and then the rain carries the electricity further and everything dies. Like something like that. Just like crazy shit that just compounds and compounds and compounds and then just spirals out of control, and you're left thinking like, how the fuck? Like, I didn't expect all those things to interact like that. What motivates me to make games? I think it's watching people play them. It's also the act of having an idea and then figuring out how to actually tangibly put that into the computer and to get it to work, and then troubleshooting and then watching it finally come to fruition. I think that's the biggest thing for me, actually. It's having this idea and then slowly, bit by bit, watching it unfold until you've got this fantastic thing that is just like you envisioned, or even better than what you've envisioned. And you get to play through that, and you get to experience this world that you've, imagined. It only exists in your imagination before it's there. And then you get to watch other people play it. You get to watch them be surprised by it, and they play through this thing like not knowing what to expect, and you watch them get stuck, and then they have some idea or something surprises them, and it's just fucking awesome. I love watching people play. And for me, what's particularly motivating is I've got a younger brother. He's just 13 years old, and he really loves all the games that I make. And honestly, he sort of shapes the games that I make as well, because he's the main person that tests them. So I create a game, I show them to him, he plays through them, finds all the bugs, tells me what he thought was going to happen, what didn't happen, what bits he liked, what bits he didn't like, and then I get to go back and I can, come up with new shit, and it's like a feedback loop, because I'm constantly excited to make games for him, and he's constantly excited to play them and give feedback to me. So I think that's really cool. But yeah, I've got a little bit of family that play games. Like I've got a stepbrother who plays them as well, another brother who plays, and just like close friends who also play them and give me feedback. And it's always really fantastic hearing what they have to say and how the game made them feel. So that's a huge motivational force for me. So I might carry on. And what I want for the future of this channel, I think I covered that in the start. Basically, just to recap, I feel like making good games is a emotional and personal experience. So I want to sort of expand a little bit upon, what works for me, the way that I do things, what I've learned along the way, and just talk about more personal stuff rather than just hardcore flat out tutorials. So I think that's it. I think I've been going for like 20 minutes, so I'm going to cut that there. Leave me any comments if you've got any questions, more stuff that you might want me to talk about or whatever. I don't really know what else to say. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it feels like you sort of know me a little bit better, and you've got a face to put to the voice that you've just been hearing in the back of your head watching these fucking tutorials. But yeah, that's it guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be back with a new video soon.